It's that time. No, not that time. It's not 420. But it is time for the return of Mr. Monday Night, the whole effing show, Rob Van Dam. That's right, Rob Van Dam noted on his Twitter that he hopes to return to the WWE in time for WrestleMania 30. Now for me, that is very exciting news because I am a massive RVD fan and I would love to see him on the WrestleMania 30 card. But, it did get me thinking, where exactly does Rob Van Dam fit if he's going to actually make his return for WrestleMania 30? What scenario can the WWE provide him with to put him on the WrestleMania 30 card? Because if you look at it, there's not that many available slots and available feuds for him to get involved in. Well, in my opinion, significant feuds for him to get involved in. And what I mean by this is if you look at the world title picture, well, it's pretty ram-jammed and I can't see him terminating his way through the door straight into the world title picture because you've got the likes of Batista, Lesnar, Cena, Daniel Bryan, hopefully, all, chomping at the bit to get a hold of Randy Orton's World Championship. Not just that as well, the fact that we only have one belt, and when Van Dam was here earlier we had two, makes it even more difficult for him to get in a world title picture because he is a veteran and he's not really used like that. He went into a feud with Alberto Del Rio where he had to challenge for the lesser championship, the World Heavyweight Championship, but that belt is not here anymore. So it's very difficult for him to be seen to go into the world title picture. So then we have to move him down a level and we have to look at the Intercontinental Championship and the United States Championship. But here there is still some problems because it would make more sense that going into WrestleMania, it's Big E Langston versus Dean Ambrose for a unification match for those titles. And the WWE have openly promoted that they do want the belts to be unified. Now you could say that possibly, RVD picks up a feud with Big E, defeats Big E, and then is the guy that carries the Intercontinental Championship for the unification match with Dean Ambrose. But I can't see that happening because WWE are massively high on Big E Langston. So Van Dam's not going to go into a feud with him prior to WrestleMania. Big E Langston is carrying that Intercontinental Championship into WrestleMania. That is for sure. So then you have to look at the other side and maybe the fact that Van Dam will go against Dean Ambrose and take the United States Championship, which could be more likely because if you think about it, WWE have also been looking at breaking up the Shield, and the scenario that I would think would be the case that Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins cock up Dean Ambrose match against RVD, costing him the United States Championship. That opens the door for RVD to move on into a unification match with Big E Langston, and that also opens the door for the triple threat match to let the Shield combust and then explode, and then there'll be no more Shield forevermore. So that could be a scenario, but then we've got face versus face. We've got Big E versus RVD. And it doesn't really work either. It could be a good match, but crowd value, face versus face. And I'm not talking about, sometimes faces get booed. I can't really see RVD getting booed, and I can't see RVD coming back as a heel for that matter. It's just not the right time for RVD to be a heel. He has to be a face, and regardless if you make him a heel, they'll cheer for him anyway. So then I can't see him challenging for a title at all, which drops him down again another level, and this puts him at that stage where I don't always like veterans to come back because I always feel that it devalues their career and it ruins their legacy. And a great example of this for me was when Jericho put over Fandango. Now this was Fandango. This was fantastic. Now this was fantastic for Fandango, But it wasn't exactly great for Jericho, was it? It wasn't really good for Jericho's career to come back and literally job for Fandango. So, for me, if Van Dam comes back, I don't really want to see that happen, because for Fandango, okay, he beat a legend like Chris Jericho, but what has he done otherwise? You know, he just sits in that mid-card now, and he's a good wrestler, but the putting over from Jericho hasn't exactly excelled him to the next level, has it? And that's my fear, that they'll do the same with Van Dam. The legends that come back, these guys, the veterans, they just sometimes feel to me that when they have these runs, it just devalues their career. Don't get me wrong, it's not always that way, but I always think it depends on the superstar they're putting over and their positioning within the company. Now, if I was to look at a match like Triple H versus Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania, I would be all for Daniel Bryan going over, because he's in the position where that torch needs to be passed. And it makes perfect sense. Maybe not to Triple H, but it makes perfect sense for Daniel Bryan to beat the game. But in the scenario of a Jericho and an RVD who just come back, I just think it always puts a little scratch, a little dent in their career if they just come back and job to the young guys. It doesn't really float my boat. And for the example of RVD, this is going to be probably his last WrestleMania. And do you really want to see him go out just, taking a loss to somebody who's just going to sit in the mid-card and never make it to the top? No, not really. So now you can see my dilemma. Where does Van Dam fit in? There are lots of guys that Van Dam could pick up a feud with, but is it really worth RVD's while? And personally, I do think that Van Dam has still got it. Van Dam can still go with the best of them. Hell, he can even do moves that some of the younger talents still can't do at his age. He is a phenomenal superstar, and he always has been, and I don't want his legacy to be spoilt by jobbing to just randomers. And people will go, oh, well, he went to TNA to do all that. He went there, he jobbed to them, jobbed to here, jobbed to there. Yeah, alright, but we're talking WWE here. Forget TNA. So guys, where does Van Dam fit in? If you were booking WrestleMania 30 and you had RVD, a fully fit RVD, ready to go, who would you book him with? And give me your scenarios of how that feud would start and ultimately finish. I'd love to know your ideas. Let me know via the comments box below, and I will read all of them, and I will give you my feedback on what I think if you pitch those scenarios to me. So guys, let me know. Van Dam, WrestleMania 30, could it happen? Only time will tell. So until then, please rate, comment and subscribe. This is Delzinski, signing out.